Mike Adamley and Mickey King Hauck back here at the natatorium at the University of Nebraska in Lincoln. We are ready for the second round of dives here in the finals of the women's 3-meter springboard. Serwan, Loasso, and Bell, your leaders, 1, 2, and 3, as we look at Tara Bell as she takes the tower.
Well, it might feel like a tower. It really is only a 3-meter springboard. And, of course, that's 10 feet off the water, and that's far enough for these women at this point in the contest. Tara Bell doing a very worrisome dive in terms of hitability.
We had a good look at her coach right there, Mickey, Tom Spate, stirring up the water a little bit to make the impact a little bit less cumbersome.
First 2.5 somersault tuck, not quite what she wanted. She did a terrific back 2.5 somersault earlier in the prelims to get her into these finals, and this was a little bit less than she would hope to have. Looking at it here from the overhead camera, you can see her off the side of the board a little bit, but watch her kick, relaxes her feet, and then falls short and gets scores accordingly.
This is Lisa Simmonds, currently in 6th place after 8 dives.
2.3 degree of difficulty on this one, the forward 2.5 somersault pike position. These are optional dives. They will be a little harder. She needs this one. Interesting dive. I thought it was slow on top. She worked it real well, scooped on the bottom, arched a little bit in order to get it down. That's called saving a dive in the air, and she's getting 6.5s on it. She's, I think, only half happy with it.
As we watch the replay of Lisa Simmonds, we'll talk about the point scoring again. In diving, relatively simple. There are 7 judges here. The top 2 and the bottom 2 scores are dropped. The remaining 3 are multiplied by the degree of difficulty. Gives you a raw score. Nancy Hauck is now in 4th place after coming into the competition in 3rd. 16 years old from Toledo, Ohio.
Now we get a chance to look at the higher degree of difficulty. Back 2.5 somersault tuck, 2.8 degree of difficulty. The men were doing it yesterday. The women are doing it now. Let's see if she can do it. Oh, my. Now that is close to a failed dive. The meet referee should really probably call that a failed dive. If not, she will get very low scores, 1/2 at the most. They are scoring the dive. They have decided to score the dive, but in my estimation, it was a failed dive. Her feet hit before her head, and that's the judgment. She's getting halves and 1.5s. Looking at it again from the overhead camera, boy, we will really see her splat. I thought she had a terrific top. I think she thought so, too. She kicked out very strong, but she just kicked out early.
You know, Mickey, they got a bubble machine here that tries to, you know, breaks the impact of the water, but I don't think it helped there.
No. The bubbler here is primarily to make the surface of the water a little ruffled, Mike. This is not the bubbler that protects the diver.
Another look at Jane Serwan, Janie's mother. Janie, our leader right now after 8 dives. She's 15 years old and has been a real story so far.
Janie's second dive in this optional portion of the contest. Back 1.5 somersault layout position, degree of difficulty 2.2.
I think it helps or hurts to have your mom this close.
Well, it depends on the relationship with the family, but mostly I would think it would help. Some of the women are choosing to do the very difficult back 2.5 somersault. Janie is playing it safe with the back 1.5. Let's see if it pays off. A lot of concentration. Her mother is very worried. Played it safe. She played it very safe. I thought for a minute she was going to land right on her back, but she was smart. She pulled it through. Not as aggressive as I would like to see, but it was safe. She got 5.5 6s, didn't miss it. Her mom is very pensive watching that contest. There she is.
Looking at this replay, we might say that there's 3 component parts to a dive. The approach, the top, and the finish, Mickey, that the judges look for. Kelly Jones, 16 years old from Albuquerque, New Mexico, started the competition in 6th place. She has dropped a notch. She is now in 7th.
Reverse 1.5 somersault tuck, 2.2 degree of difficulty. Important dive. She needs to hit it. The crowd loves it too. Very nice dive. It's the first one that's been hit so far in the meet. And there's the leader, and there's a very nice gesture. She's happy too that one of her competitors hit it that well.
Well, that's one of the neat things I've seen here is the extreme closeness between all the girls.
Right. And you know, talking about family, there's her father who coaches her, Eric Jones, and of course he coaches at the University of New Mexico. Watching the slow-mo, watch her land on the end of the board. She lifts her head a little bit early. She's a little bit loose in the tuck, but kicks here and does a good job pulling through. And her mom is in the corner there, very, very happy, as is her dad, who is her coach.
Well, with one final dive to go, Rita Serwan is still your leader. Michelle Lewasto is still in second, but Kelly Jones now has moved up into third place with that great last dive. We'll have more diving later. Mike Adamley with Mickey King Hauck back at the natatorium at the University of Nebraska in Lincoln, Nebraska, and there is a good look at our leader in the women's 3-meter springboard with her dad giving her a little encouragement as she heads for her last dive. Our standings right now with this last final dive, Serwan, Lewasso, and Jones, 1, 2, 3. This girl, Tara Bell, was in second place when the competition started, but now she's dropped to 5th.
But we add a little bit of incentive here for her because she has a 2.6 degree of difficulty, the inward 2.5 somersault tuck. Now, if she does it well with that high degree of difficulty, the leaders are doing less difficult dives. It's going to be a little bit tense here to see what happens. Tara can dive under pressure. I've seen a nice top. No, she doesn't pull it off. Very slow, very low. She twists on the top as she leaves the board and comes out less than adequate.
Well, even though she was in 5th place, she was only 17.76 points behind.
Now watch her turn here. You'll see she's not square to the board. See that turn? That's very definitely a mistake and something the judges spot. You can see her. She's what we call going through the board. She's way off the side, nowhere near the board, but off the side, and really a terrible finish.
Michelle Lewasso is currently in 2nd place. She started the competition in 4th, and right now she is 8.76 behind Rita Serwan. Good look at her coach.
Dennis Hartman out of Denver, Colorado, coaching Michelle, coached her throughout her age group career, watching Michelle do the inward 1 1/2 somersault pike, 2.2. She can do this dive well. She put it last on purpose. Let's see if it pays off or falls back. She crimps her knees and low finishing, not good at all. Now, I would have a hard time judging that dive much higher than a 5. And again, Dennis, yeah, that's what the scores are saying, and Dennis, I think, realizes that. Too bad.
Mickey, the finish looked great, but...
Well, actually not. She sits back here, right here. She's so far back. She hasn't got a prayer. It's going to be a low dive, and since she is so tall, she needs the room. She crimped her knees here. She just barely got there. She had no drop, and Dennis saw it right off. Oh, discouragement.
Talk about a frustrated
personified.
coach. Wow. 18-year-old Rita Simmonds. This will probably be her last Junior Olympic competition, undoubtedly, at 18. Right now, she is in 4th place after starting the day in 5th.
Right. Now, she's finishing with the inward 1 1/2 somersault also, just as Michelle did. It's a good steady dive for most of the women. A little bit of turn on the top, much higher finish, but she turned to the side, and I don't like that. You do not need to turn to do this dive well. She reached under and finished a little bit low.
Mickey, as we watch the replay of Lisa, the girls seem to know all the mechanics of the dives, but what's missing?
There is a smoothness and a style that hasn't been developed in some of the young women at this point. Lisa does have a nice style. She needs a little more smoothness, and I'm sure it'll come. Now, Janie is doing her reverse 1 1/2 somersault tuck for her last dive. The degree of difficulty on this is 2.2, a low degree of difficulty. However, the dive is easy, and at this point, she can't let down.
Well, so far, she's been a model of consistency.
I would worry a little, too, if I was Mom. Nice high top. I thought she had it. She pulled on the bottom. Now, that was a split-second mistake. I mean, up until she was 2 inches from the water, she had 8s on that dive. Incredible. Too bad. I don't know how badly it's going to hurt her, but certainly she can do that dive better.
Well, Mickey, it's not too bad. Her running total right now, 363.8.
Let's take a look at it. Now, she's a little bit turned. It shows more on the finish. Look how high she is. Very nice top. Right here, she's still good. She's still good. And right there at the last, pulls over, and she's getting 4 1/2s and 5s instead of 8s.
Rita Serwan is still in 1st place, but in 3rd place, Kelly Jones is still to dive, and she will be the last diver here in the women's 3-meter finals. Kelly from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Her father's here. He is her coach. two-time state high school champion in New Mexico.
Back, 1 1/2 somersault pike, 2.2, hit a good one. Not too bad, not too bad. I don't think it's going to be good enough, though. A little heavy on her shoulders. If she'd have gotten her head back, she could have cleaned the water and done a little better on the dive. It's a hard dive to end up with. I think I'd try and end up with a different dive than a back 1 1/2, but of course that's the diver's choice. Let's look at it and see if we can see how she catches the water on her shoulders. She looks fine here. She could tighten her knees up a little bit, close the pike up a little bit. And we'll notice here she catches that big splash on the finish.
Good dive by Kelly Jones. She's been like mercury in a thermometer on a hot day, steadily climbing. She started the day in 6th place. Prior to that dive, she was in 3rd. She may move up somewhat. And there's your winner, Rita Serwan, 15 years old, hugging her dad. He's a proud guy right now. I think she's going to make her way over to see her mom. So, Rita Serwan is your winner in the women's 3-meter springboard, 15 years old from Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And Kelly Jones, by virtue of her exceptional last dive, is 2nd. Lisa Simmonds finishes 3rd. There's Janie and her mom. As we watch the last dive of Janie, we see what a perfectionist she indeed is, and Mickey is with our winner.
Rita Serwan, our very, very happy winner of the women's 3-meter contest. Janie, you chose to do a lot of the easier dives in the contest. Some of your competitors were doing the higher degree of difficulty dives. What was your strategy in using the easier dives, and do you plan to use the harder dives?
I'm working on harder dives right at this moment. I should have them by next year. The reason I use the lower degree of difficulty is because I count on the other people to blow their dives, and if I can do that and just stay consistent, I feel a lot better.
Well, one of the things we notice as we watch the competition is that you get a lot of support from the family, and tell me about that kind of thing from your point of view.
Well, my whole family has always been really supportive of me, and I think if they weren't, then I wouldn't have done this today or anything.
Well, that concludes the diving story at the University of Nebraska Natatorium. And Mickey King Hauck, I would like to say thank you for taking time out from your Air Force duties to be with me in NBC Sports.
It was a great weekend, Mike. I loved it.